Place E20 over the corresponding position on the stock assembly. There are spare E20 parts on the spare board. Replace the part if it is damaged. Place H6 over the corresponding position on the stock assembly. Insert two E19 parts into the corresponding slots on the stock assembly. Insert A23 into the corresponding position on the stock assembly. Insert A24 into the corresponding position on the stock assembly. Place H12 over the corresponding position on the stock assembly. Place H11 over the corresponding position on the stock assembly. Connect the stock assembly with the main assembly. Make sure the protruding parts of the assembly are aligned. Ensure the stock assembly is fully inserted. Insert G19 into the corresponding slot on the assembly. Insert two B13 parts into the D12 slot. Ensure the correct orientation of B13 during installation. Insert the D12 assembly into the corresponding slot on the assembly. There are spare D12 parts on the spare board. Replace the part if it is damaged. Place P11 into the corresponding position on the assembly. Pay attention to the position of P11. It should be inserted into the raised internal part. Remove D1 and wax it. Insert D1 into the corresponding position on the assembly. The pattern side of D1 should face outward. Insert A12 and A11 into the corresponding positions on the assembly. Before installation, check if the other side is pointing to the semi-auto position. Ensure both sides point to the same selector position. Perform a simple test. Check if the safety mechanism works correctly. Set the mode to the safety position. Insert D3 into the corresponding position on the assembly. Insert C6 into the H19 slot. Ensure that C6 is inserted on the side of H19 without a pattern. There are spare C6 parts on the C board. Replace the part if it is damaged. Insert the H19 assembly into the corresponding position on the assembly. Insert P13 into the C6 section of the assembly. Insert D22 into the C6 section of the assembly. The pattern side of D22 should face outward. Place P8 in the reserved space in the middle of the assembly. Pay attention to the direction of P8. When installing the next step, align the holes. Insert 3P16 and 3P15 parts into the corresponding slots on the assembly. Then tighten with a small screwdriver. Insert H13 into the corresponding slot on the assembly. First, snap G2 into the protruding part of the corresponding position on the assembly. Then, gently press towards the raised part of G2. Press until the assembly is flush. There are spare G2 parts on the spare board. Replace the part if it is damaged. Insert 4 I18 parts into the corresponding slots on the assembly. There are spare I18 parts on the I board. Replace the part if it is damaged. Adjust the model to semi-auto/full auto mode for testing. Hook one end of the rubber band on the sight slot. Hook the other end on the rubber band spool. Be careful to avoid the firing buffer hook. Then rotate the rubber band spool backward until you hear a click. Repeat this step to attach 3 to 4 rubber bands. For the last shot, do not rotate the rubber band spool backward. Pull back the firing buffer hook. Pull the trigger to fire.